Welcome to Masterclass series. My name is Mashauri and my guest is Azim Jamal. Welcome, Azim.
Thank you.
Azim, today we're talking about interpersonal skills, and to begin with, maybe you need to help us understand the term interpersonal skills. What does it refer to?
Well, we're living amongst other people. We're not living on an island by ourselves.
Okay.
You're always with other people, at home, at work, in the church, in the mosque, wherever you go, there are other people around you. Mm-hmm. So your skills to deal with other people, and mostly people are different from you. The reason they're different from you is because you're unique. And if you're unique, then everybody else is different from you, and everybody else is unique in their own way. So when you are with other people, doing business with other people, whether they're your colleagues, whether they're customers, other stakeholders, you're always with people, and how you deal with people in a positive, inspiring, uplifting, empowering, energizing way determines your interpersonal skills.
Okay, and what are these skills now?
Well, I think the key is that to be a good listener. See, if you have a customer that you're trying to win over, you have to make sure that you build a rapport with the customer, have a good relationship with the customer, that you understand the customer's needs at a deep level. Then you need to be able to present persuasively, so your communication skills come in. Okay. Yeah. And then if there are objections, you need to handle the objections effectively. Yeah. So all this become important in your relationship with the customer. Okay. So mostly depends on individual circumstances, but it's all about building relationship with other people. Okay. That's part of your interpersonal skills. How are you doing in terms of building relationship? And relationship building starts with trust. Mm-hmm. No trust, no relationship. Mm-hmm. So that's called the ethos, the trust. Then comes the pathos, the relationship building, the rapport. And then comes the logos, the logic. People start with logic right away. There's no trust, there's no relationship, and you go with logic. It doesn't go anywhere. So you need to be able to build that. I remember a case when I had a client who wanted to hire me, and when we were having dinner, they had 38 programs in a year, educational programs. So I said, "Why do you need me? You've got so many educational programs. You don't need me." So we were having dinner at night, and I was trying to find out more about the company, and he said that they lost 25% of their staff last year. I said, "How do you lose 25% of your staff when you have 38 programs, educational programs? People should be excited to be developing their knowledge, and why would they quit?" So I went a bit deeper, and I found out that in this company, it was all about logos, logic. Okay. There was no ethos, there was no pathos, there was no trust, there was no relationship. So interpersonal skills is all about building trust, and trust you cannot demand. You can't say, "Give me trust." You have to earn trust.
You have to earn it.
And you earn trust by being trustworthy.
Okay. And is it different, for instance, if you talk about interpersonal skills at like family level, how different it is from workplace? I know we have experiences sometimes for employees. You go to the company and you have issues at home, and they both communicate. So you have to leave your problems at home. When you get inside this place, you have to focus on the job. How different it is, or it's the same thing?
So at home, the dynamics are different. At work, you get paid, or you're paying somebody. So there is a transaction happening whereby I pay you, so you work for me. If you don't work for me, I fire you. At home, you can't fire people easily. You can end up in a split, but that's the last resort, right? So there are those kind of differences. At the family, it's your family, so you're going to be with your family all your life. Jobs may change, employer may change. Usually you don't change family. It can happen, but you don't usually change family. So there's that other dynamics. But ultimately, it's all about building relationship. It's all about building trust. It's all about building rapport. It's all about understanding the other person, walking in the other person's shoes. You see, we can judge other people one way or the other, but judgment is really ours, not theirs. Well, the way you look at the world is not how the world is. The way you look at the world is how you are. So you look at the world from your paradigm, but the paradigm from the other person is completely different. So when you look at the two paradigms, you'll say, are they talking the same language? But they're looking at it from a different perspective, at home or at work, right? So it's really a question of looking at things from other people's viewpoints, realizing what is in it for me. People have this, what is in it for me? So everybody's looking at it from their perspective, and for you to understand their perspective makes you much better at interpersonal skills.
Okay, going back again to workplaces. where so much interactions normally happen. Maybe the boss with the subordinate, or sometimes you are speaking to your boss, reporting to your boss. And normally people say like the boss is difficult, or someone do not understand. Is it like we have different personality types which somebody needs to understand in order to relate appropriately? Or it's only when you develop these skills, then it helps you interact with anyone, regardless of the personality type and things like that?
You know, if you have a very good attitude, if you're very respectful, if you're humble, if you go from that perspective, usually you are easy to get along with, because you don't get affected by people's behavior. If somebody is negative and you're positive, they can be negative, but it doesn't have the same impact on you.
Okay.
Because you have a good esteem, you're not reacting to their negativity. You're realizing that negativity is not because what you're saying, it's not personal, it's something that they're going through. And so you're able to overcome that. But if you are also struggling in your own life with low esteem, then you react, and then it becomes very difficult. The other person is saying something, you're reacting, and the problem multiplies. But if one person is able to not react and transcend the issue, then the problem gets minimized.
So what do you advise, like how do I develop? How can someone develop these skills?
Yes. So one has to realize that every person behaves the way they behave for a reason. People are not bad. Everybody has a soul. Everybody has the divine in them. But the divine is covered by many things. But it's lost inside. So how does one tap into the divine? You know, Khalil Gibran says it beautifully. He says, when you look at a perpetrator, somebody has perpetrated bad things, look deeper. And you'll find that this person was perpetrated one time, and now he's perpetrating. So he's been hurt, now he's hurting others. So everybody has a reason why they behave the way they behave. I'm not justifying bad behavior, but people are not bad people. They become bad by circumstances, by environment, they're not born bad people. Yeah. So sometimes we say, okay, he's bad, but I'm not bad. But perhaps you were lucky that you had good parents, or you had good environment, good upbringing. They didn't have it. And so they become the victims of environment. I'm not saying it's a justification, but it gives you that empathy, that feeling that, look, you know, like Dale Carnegie would say, there, but for the grace of God, go I. If it wasn't for the grace of God, I would be that person there. You know, whether it's a prostitute or whether what it is, you judge, but you don't know the circumstances, what has brought them to where they are. And we should have empathy rather than judgment. Judging is very easy.
But putting yourself in another person's shoes is important.
It's difficult, yeah.
Okay, as a leader, you have to solve problems. I know it happens a lot, not only at workplaces, but sometimes even at home. Conflict normally happens. Is conflict a good thing, a bad thing? But most importantly, how do you manage conflicts when they happen?
So, you know, if you're a consultant or a coach and you go to an organization, no conflict, no job. So if the conflict, job, opportunity. Because this conflict, you can solve it, so you're not required, right? So every conflict is an opportunity.
Okay, how?
Because if a conflict happens, like say a husband and wife have a conflict. So if a conflict happens, time to discuss, communicate, understand, to get your relationship deeper. Otherwise, when there's no conflict, the relationship is this level. It doesn't go deeper. Sometimes you got to have healthy conflict. You got to have debates in a nice way to learn from each other to make your relationship get better. Otherwise, you never go deeper. Same thing in an organization. You know, they say when a customer complains, Bill Gates used to say, when a customer complains, I'm very happy. So why are you happy? He says, because when they complain to me, they're not talking to my competitor.
Okay.
And when they're talking to me and complaining, they're doing my research for me, what's not working. So I like them to complain because I can improve what I'm not doing right. And they're talking to me so I can keep them in my business rather than they go away somewhere else. So the issue is when people complain, customers complain, and you deal with the customers' complaint in a very effective way, the chances of your customer recommending you go up by 70%. If they never complain, they will never recommend you.
Okay.
So complaint is a positive because if they complain and you deal with it properly, the chances of recommendation goes up 70%.
So they give you another opportunity to do something.
Yeah, otherwise you don't complain, you don't know, they never recommend, you never grow.
So I do hope, especially in organizations, harmonious relationships not happen accidentally, so people need to do something. So what are these things I can do to my organization to make sure that these relations are harmoniously and people develop these interpersonal skills?
The first step is to create a common goal.
Okay.
What game are you playing? Are we playing football? Are we playing hockey? Are we playing basketball? What league are we playing? We're playing Premier League or Timbuktu League? What are we playing? So clarify, what is our goal? Where are we going? And are we all want to go there? Is it is it a common goal? So when people have a common goal, we have something common. So we all now trying to win the championship together. You want to win it as bad as I want to win it. So I got to help you, you got to help me, because we're all working towards the same goal. If your goal is different from mine, then I'm fighting with you. Sometimes different departments behave that they're different companies. Marketing will say it's important, but HR is not important. HR will say HR is important, finance is not important. But all these are important parts of one team trying to win something together. Right? So when people have the commonness of goal and clarity of the commonness and involvement of the commonness, that becomes a starting point to create harmony.
Okay. Azim, sometimes issues happen, and I've seen it with experience, and it's because people do not understand each other in terms of how they behave and their backgrounds. For instance, if you talk about in the company, you have people who are actually into accounts, normally in accordance to the way they've been trained and what they're supposed to deliver, may be a bit different from people doing sales. Because in sales, you have to be more aggressive, you have to keep on pushing. Sometimes you have to demand more money from the finance guys such that you can chase the clients, and the finance guys are a bit stingy. So how these things can work if the interpersonal relationships are proper and people have interpersonal skills?
The sales guy will think, I'm the one bringing the money. If I don't sell, you don't have a job. The finance guy will say, if I don't protect the money, there won't be any money to pay you. So everybody thinks their job is the most important. The reality is for people to realize everybody's job is important in their own way. We need everybody. We need a defender, we need a goalkeeper, we need a midfield, and we need a striker. We can't have all Messis in the striking and no defenders. You still lose the game. So in a team, in a corporation, we need the different departments to perform because they all have some synergy. They help each other. Yeah, it's a question of understanding each other's roles, why they're important, to meet our common goals. Okay. To meet your common goals, you can sell a lot, but if you don't look after your money and you don't protect your money and you don't invest your money, then money won't be shown. So the finance guy is required, right? And the HR guy is required. If the teamwork is not there, the culture is not there, then the strategies go nowhere. As Peter Drucker would say, that culture will eat strategy for breakfast. Culture will eat strategy for breakfast, which means that strategy will go nowhere without culture.
Okay, so culture is very important.
Yeah, because so the HR people will say, if you don't create a good culture and make sure the culture is good, strategies don't go anywhere because people's culture is very lethargic, they're not responsible, they pass the buck, so the strategy goes nowhere.
And how do you develop one culture which is uniform and sometimes, shared amongst the organization? You're talking about large corporations. Maybe they have branches all over. They have branches in different countries. People work differently. And you need to have organizational culture which is similar in a way that when I go to USA and when I go to London or in Africa, I can experience the same elements. How do you create that culture?
It's difficult. I mean, if you look at the definition of culture, it means this is the way we do things here. And how does it become the way we do things here? It becomes a multiplication of many, many habits that have been formed over time. So if you allow people to get away with a laissez-faire approach, you allow people to get away with being irresponsible, if you allow people not to be accountable, then that becomes a culture of the organization because the organization supports those behaviors. Right? If the organization doesn't support those behaviors, then the behaviors change. And what is the example the leadership is portraying about how things should be done here? So all this is a combination of many things, and to change that also takes a long time. It doesn't change overnight.
And what do you tell the people, especially nowadays in business is becoming very competitive, and people talk about numbers, like I need the numbers, and forget the people aspect. What do you advise?
Well, I think, you see, numbers is a byproduct. You can't keep just changing numbers. Numbers will come when you have a good product, when you have good services, when you have good people, when you have good customer service, when you deliver what you promise, when you go the extra mile. Everything leads to good numbers. So it's not one or the other. Numbers doesn't come from the air.
Okay.
Yeah. Even the sales guys want to sell. They need the help of marketing to promote the material well, to communicate the material well, so they able to sell. And when they sell, if the service after sale is not good, if the accounts department don't do the proper invoicing or proper whatever, then they get messed up too. So everybody plays a part in getting the numbers in the end.
Okay. Thanks, Azim. I think we have to go for a short break, and then we'll come back soon to continue with the session. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So mastermind is where two or more people come together to meet a common purpose or common objective. Mastermind can be in business, mastermind can be in professions, mastermind can be in sports, mastermind can be in families. What is the purpose of the mastermind? Why do I want one? And the idea is that no one person has enough skills and abilities to achieve success by themselves.
Welcome back to Masterclass series. My name is Mashauri, and my guest is Azim Jamal, and we're talking about interpersonal skills. Azim, mostly these interpersonal skills are not taught in a class, and people would wish to have. How can people develop these interpersonal skills?
I think a lot of this starts at home as well, as a parents.
Okay.
How do parents communicate to each other? How do grandparents do that? How the family interacts? All this starts at home. How one learns that, then of course it goes to school, and then what you expose to your friends and the TV programs you watch.
Okay.
Everything plays a part in what you learn in how to communicate, how to deal with people. Yeah. So I think for something to change, one has to make sure the environment at home is very good, and it doesn't mean there's no conflict. Conflict is okay. It's how you manage conflict. How you handle conflict is the important part, right?
Okay. And for people who have been traumatized maybe for some times, but they need to change, they're into self-addictions and they don't like that life, they would wish to change and acquire these interpersonal skills. Somebody is short-tempered. It's not because he was born that way, but things happens in a way, and it develops some sort of defensive mechanism to survive. Or somebody has been hurt in a relationship with the boss, the family, and is no longer interested into, being close to people, listening to people. How do you help such a person?
So let's say, for example, if you have a short temper and we're talking, so I would say to you, does your short temper help you? I mean, do you feel happy about the short temper? And you'd say, no, I don't like being short-tempered. It stresses me out, and then I lose my relationship with my customers, with my colleagues, with my family, and I want to change. Then I would say to you, that for your short temper, there's nobody else responsible. Only you're responsible. You might think, the driver over there was driving so bad, he made me mad, he made me angry. So I got angry because I was justified because this driver was like totally a jerk. The reality is the driver can be what he wants to be, but you are getting angry. So you are responsible for your anger, not the driver, because you are reacting to the driver. And by the way, the reason you're getting angry is not because of the driver, because something happened at home and you left home. And then you're carrying the anger to the driver, and you'll carry the anger to somebody else. There was one time this New York driver, this guy took a ride in the cab.
Okay.
So the two guys went in the cab with the New York driver, and the driver was very calm, he did everything, and when they reached the destination, this guy paid him the money for his ride, and then paid him a tip, and said to him, "Man, you were an amazing driver, man. You never lost your cool, you were calm, cool, collected, and you got us in time," and he went on and on and on. So when they came out of the car, the friend said to him, "What's all this about? You paid him the money, you paid him a tip, and what was all this stuff about driving so well and all that? What's the point?" He says, "Well, the point is, first of all, he was a good driver. He was very calm, cool, he got us in time, and it was difficult in the traffic. He's going to give rides to 20 other people today. And just because I was kind to him, he's going to feel good about himself, and he'll be kind to the people who come in his car. They'll go home and be kind to the people at home. It's a multiplying effect.
Okay.
So what did it cost me? Nothing. And I meant what I said. So everything we do has a ripple effect. So if you're getting angry and it's not helping you, you're responsible. When you know you're responsible, you're also responsible. So then you're in charge. So next time I get angry, I can't blame anybody but myself. Then you know that I'm in charge of my behavior. That's number one. Number two is, whenever you get angry, if you have a system to remind you that I don't want to get angry, even if you do something like cut, like this linguistic people say, if you cut, then you remind yourself, I want to cut it now. Okay, I got angry for 2 minutes, I cut, because if I don't cut it, I'm going to be angry for the next 2 hours, and maybe the whole day. Sometimes
the day is going to be
So when do I cut? So the idea is, the moment you cut is your victory. We are all supposed to react in some way because you're human. But the moment you cut, you start a new journey. And Dalai Lama was once asked by somebody, I have bad thoughts. So Dalai Lama said, it's okay, we are all human, we have bad thoughts. But when you have bad thought, catch yourself and cut yourself and change your thoughts. Then it's fine. But if you allow the thoughts to, take a nice sofa in your being, have some cup of tea and, make it comfortable, the whole day the thoughts will continue because they are now very comfortable in your body.
Yeah.
And they become part of everything you do. Because you allow them good space and you never cut them, never throw them out and say, I'm not home today, I'm busy.
Very interesting. As Azim considers situation, and this happens especially people who are at workplaces or doing businesses, when you receive bad communication, maybe somebody wrote to you an email, or nowadays text messages or WhatsApp message, which put you off completely. What is the best approach? Because sometimes you can respond to such an email, but later when you think, you say, I think I would have done differently, and it wouldn't probably disturb the relationship.
Sure.
In those circumstances, what should be the
when you get a nasty email or nasty text, whatever, take a deep breath and ask yourself, is there some truth in what the text is all about? And be very objective. Don't be defensive. Objective. There's some truth. Fine, you handle it. The best thing to do is to write back and say, tell me more. Tell me more about this. Guess what? They write something more, you say, okay, a bit more. And eventually you find they don't have anything. This idea of the kids ask you, why dad? You tell them, but why this? And why, after 4 or 5 whys, you don't have anything to say. Because you realize you're not right in what you're saying. So it's not reacting. You see, if I call a flower, you have mud, you're garbage, you smell bad, what does the flower do? The flower blooms. It's magnanimous. It's beautiful. All you're saying doesn't have any impact on the flower. Now I know a flower is not a human being, but flower is a symbol of there's inner beauty. You calling flower by any other name doesn't change the flower. That doesn't mean you are in denial about the acquisition that you're getting, because you don't want to be in denial. But you want to be objective. You don't want to just react to everybody what they say. And just because somebody says something doesn't make it the truth. The truth is the truth. Somebody saying it doesn't change the truth. So you know the truth. If truth is different, then it doesn't affect you.
Okay. And to some cultures I've noted, but this is changing into different places, whereby people now go to a stage sometimes to confess or to apologize. And sometimes these people are very famous celebrities, or even shakers and movers, big entrepreneurs, business leaders, leaders at national level. Do you think that skill is necessary? Is it a skill? Is it the emotional questions of a person? What is it, and how important it is, especially for people who are for public leadership?
So you're saying that people go and confess their errors?
Yes, the mistakes,
ask for forgiveness or whatever.
Yeah.
I think it's great because by doing that, you're letting go of the baggage. You're letting go of the baggage, meaning that something you're carrying in you for so many years, you're letting go and accepting your shortcomings and starting anew. By not accepting that, you're still carrying that baggage of the mistakes you've made and the burden around it. So I think it's a good way to go about it. Again, my friend who died recently, his father was an abusive father.
What was that?
An abusive father.
Okay.
So he affected him many, many years. But one day he went to the father's grave and talked to the father in the grave, told him off for all this thing, and then forgive him. He said when I come out of there, he wrote his best books after that because he felt so free. Because he went through that process to forgive. He had his say and then he forgave. And so there are things we need to deal with to get removed from our being that stop us from unleashing our power and being liberated. And whenever you carry this baggage, whether it's not forgiving somebody or forgetting some bad things happen to you, you're carrying this, which is making you much less liberated.
Okay. And what for those who are dealing with the so-called difficult personalities? I remember, for instance, one of my staff ever come to me and say, Paul, this client is difficult, but he's a client and you have to deal with him. How do we live with the difficult personalities who are sometimes abusive? They insult, they belittle you. How best can interpersonal skills help us to survive and live and exist with such people?
I mean, you don't want to be, bullied by somebody who is totally abusive for all the time and take that abuse. But I think the issue is when somebody is abusive, first thing to realize is the person's abusive not because you are bad. The person is abusive because they are struggling in their life. So it's not about you, it's about them. So right away you know what he's doing is nothing to do with you. It's something to do with him or her who is going through something in their life and are struggling and now are behaving that way. Unless you've done something wrong to cause that. But usually when a person is abusive all the time, they are messed up some way. And they are abusive to everybody and anybody because they don't have it together and nothing to do with you. So don't take it personally. It's difficult. But that becomes a starting point. You see, if I talk to the wall and I swear at the wall for so long and the wall is not responding, what happens? I get tired, right? So if somebody is swearing at you and you're not getting affected by it, the person will get tired of swearing at you because he's not having any impact on you. Then what they want to do is to make sure that you are hurt by them. That's what they're trying to do.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's one way you can do it, is that you're responsible how you react. And nobody can hurt you without your permission. You have to give them permission to hurt you because you're allowing them to hurt you because you're reacting. Not easy. Dr. Stephen Covey used to talk about, he said, between stimulus and reaction, there's a space.
Between stimulus
and reaction, there's a space. Very small space.
You should make a decision.
And that small space is where your destiny lies. So if you're swearing at me and I'm getting hurt, before I react, there's a little space. And I go in that space and decide not to react. And not to get caught up with what you're saying, because what you're saying is not about me, it's about you. And then I'm free. But that little space, if you don't capture it, then you react and then you're gone. Because now you stoop as low as the other person and then the thing gets really multiplied.
So Azim, again, you are in a situation, either you have to manage reconciliation or you're part of the reconciliation process. What are the important skills to have during that period of time?
Well, I think what you're saying is very important, is that are you part of the solution or are you part of the problem? See, when things are happening in a relationship and you see, I always say to people, if you have a choice of being right or being happy, choose being happy, don't choose being right. Let the other person be right. Because it's a question of being right. I have to be right, makes you unhappy and makes you fight and makes you do everything. But if you say, okay, let him be right, it's okay. I want to be happy. I don't want to get into all these unnecessary issues, trying to convince somebody who's not going to be convinced anyways. I'm wasting my energy. I let go.
That requires a very positive ego. So how can we build?
So it's all about esteem, and of course, also you can't fight every battle. You choose your battles.
Okay.
Every battle is not important. Some battles are important. But you pick your battles. So if you're fighting a small battle,
what are important battles?
Well, if you're fighting a small battle which has no consequence, it's all about ego, then you let go, let the other person win. But if the battle is about life and death, about a child's life, then it's a different issue, right? Then you stand your ground and you fight it because it's worth fighting. But most of the things, like this guy who wrote a book, Richard Carlson, it's all, life is a small stuff. Everything is a small stuff. Richard, don't sweat the small stuff. And then the subheading is everything is small stuff.
Okay.
Really, if you think about it, everything is small stuff. Even when you die, it's a small stuff because one day you're going to die. It's guaranteed. There is no 1 year guarantee, it's lifetime guarantee. One day you will die. So everything in life is a start and an end. We make it a big deal about everything, but really, there's very few.
Life is simple.
There's very few big deals in life. If somebody's dying of cancer, that's a big deal. But all the small stuff we sweat about every day are no big deal, right?
Okay. So Azim, tell me again. For instance, when you have a problem and you need to solve it, you need problem-solving skills. How is it related to interpersonal skills?
Well, you see what happens if you're not solving your problems and you're getting frustrated. It's affecting your interpersonal skills because you are frustrated and then you're angry and then you're not happy and then you're taking your stress out on other people. So being able to handle your own problems, writing down your problems, what's the best thing I can do. Always look at your problem and say, what's the worst can happen with this problem?
What is?
The worst that can happen.
Okay. Worst case scenarios.
The worst is this. Can I live with the worst? Okay. And if I can live with the worst, what can I do now to minimize this problem? Act on it right away. So you're now getting into action to minimize the problem as opposed to just worrying about a problem And the worrying kills you, right? It's the anticipation of the problem that kills you, not the problem itself. But all the worries you have about the problem, which, and my friend Nido Kubain says, my co-author, 95% of what you worry about never happens. But you worry about it anyways, and you worry about it in so many different ways, but 95% will not happen.
Well, what is the book, just for reference?
I think it's a quote. The book we wrote together is called Life Balance the Sufi Way.
Okay.
So Dr. Nido Kubain, who's the president of Northern Carolina University, and myself we co-authored the book. Okay. In the book, where he talks about that 95% of the problems never happen.
Okay. So people shouldn't get worried.
Yeah, because you see, whatever you're worrying about, 95% won't happen. So look at your problems, do what you need to do, and only worry about it when there's a consequence, right? And then deal with it.
With experience, probably, what would you wish to share to people when it comes to interpersonal skills and interpersonal relationships? Something which I didn't probably mention. I
think the issue is that you're in charge. You're in charge of relationships. It starts with you, not about your spouse, not about your partner, not about your customer. It's about you. If you are the right person, they say in marriage, it's not a question of finding the right person. It's a question of being the right person. So when you take responsibility, sometimes it can be an issue of a wrong partner, a wrong chemistry. It can happen. It's happened to many people, good people. But if you take the approach that I need to be the right person, then things can get better. Not always avoid splits, but can get better.
Thank you so much, Azim. This is quite insightful.
Pleasure.
It is empowering.
Pleasure.
Thank you so much. You were watching a Masterclass series with Mashauri and my guest speaker today, Azim Jamal. Thank you so much for watching.